So I want to talk about perception and intention when it comes to spirituality. You probably hear that intention is everything, especially in the witchy circles. I'm not just talking about intention with magic and spells and rituals. I'm talking about intention with bigger things, with pathworkings, with your life. Going through the Qlippoth has really put things in perspective for me, and a lot of the fear mongering that I heard before I even ventured into this world was perspective. I really feel we need to dissect it. So let's just get into it already. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I am Sarah, that divination witch. This is a witchy community and safe space. Hit subscribe if you want to join. Nobody judges here, right? Now, if you want to support me or the channel, all of my links are below. I offer readings. I've got a website, Etsy, all that. I've also got Patreon. We're teaching a lot on there. Stuff about Hecate, tarot, doing our own path working on there as well. I would be grateful if you could check it out. Thank you. Okay, so to put this into context, I'll give you my example. For me and the Qlippoth. Okay, so if you don't know what the Qlippoth is, a lot of you guys don't, some of you do. It's the Citra Ara. It is the flip side of the Tree of Life in Qabalah, which was originally Jewish mysticism. So you've got the Tree of Life, and then you've got the Tree of Death. And there's a lot of fear mongering around the Tree of Death because of its connotations with death, and the fact that the Citra Ara was known as the dark side in Jewish mysticism, and if it wasn't for Crowley and then his predecessors like Kenneth Grant, we wouldn't have the Qlippoth in the way that we know it today. So there is a lot of fear mongering around it, because whereas the Tree of Life was ruled over by different angels, the Qlippoth, the Tree of Death, is said to be ruled over by different demons. So, of course, naturally, you're going to get people that gravitate towards it that are more edgelords. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. In the occult, I do feel there are such problems with people like that. Always has been, always will be. People who are looking into, demonology, the left-hand path, Luciferianism, whatever, for some sort of egoic reason. Their real life, their real self, so to speak, is that insecure that they need bravado, they need an image. It is the ego speaking. So when it comes to the Qlippoth, these type of people are the ones that are spreading such fear-mongering. And that's why I didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot barge pole, to be honest. But I started in the Sephiroth, in Malkuth, in the Tree of Life, which is the first sphere. And it was Lilith, who is one of my patronesses, who brought me over to the other side and said, no, you need to do this. And for me personally, and I will do more videos about the Qlippoth, I will. But the reason why is because it's death. It's the Tree of Death. What the Qlippoth does, it strips things away from you. Each sphere on both sides are represented by different planets and planetary energies. Ultimately, that's what they are. And if you look at it from a Jungian perspective, it's kind of different archetypes of your subconscious, your psyche, that you work through to get stronger. So with the Qlippoth, being the dark side, it's kind of more intense, yes. And it's really looking at that shadow aspect of yourself. It's really looking at your deepest fears, your deepest insecurities and worries. You are literally going through your own personal hell, which sounds like hell, doesn't it? And I don't mean to sound like one of these fear mongers, but it sounds like, oh, who would want to do that? Believe you me, I know, I've been there, done that. I'm still doing it. I'm nearly at the top, nearly there, guys. But yes, I'm doing it to get stronger. That's why. Not everyone can, and I'm not meaning to toot my own horn there. I'm not meaning to be egoic, because what it does, it strips away the ego and puts that into perspective. I have gone through the abyss. I have had everything about me stripped away, a light shone on it for what it really is, and removed. You see things from a higher perspective. Arbitrary little arguments don't matter so much. I've gotten into them on YouTube. I don't care anymore, because life is much bigger than me. Very egoic to get into those sort of spats and tell people you must do this and that and the other. That's not what this is about, okay? So if you go into the Qlippoth with that frame of mind, seeking power, seeking something more, then you are dooming yourself before you even begin. If you are going into it wanting to be, like some people say, a living God, that's a whole thing. It's a whole movement on the left-hand path. That's what my face thinks of it. There's a difference between self-sovereignty and deification in the self, as in, I am part of God, I am worthy than egotistical, megalomaniac, bloody sociopathic crap. And those sorts of people who go into it for the wrong reasons and have bad experiences. Now, that's my take on it with the Qlippoth. But it's not just that, it's anything. If you go into it for the wrong reasons, then you're not going to get a good outcome. Now, as problematic as it can be, the law of attraction is real. I will do a video about that at some point, because there are some new age movements and thoughts that make it really, really harmful and turn it into something it's not. But for me explaining things, the law of attraction is the energy you put out is what you get back, sort of thing. On the whole, in general, there's nuances to that. So if you are overall going into it for really egoic reasons, like anything, then it's not going to turn out how you want it to. You've got to be open and honest to your flaws as well as the highlights, You've got to work through the lowlights as well. You've got to be balanced with this stuff. It doesn't mean you can't have ambitions. It doesn't mean that you can't have power. But you have to accept that you are a human and that you have flaws as well. And the most powerful people are the most quiet people. Even, and I know I'm touching on conspiracy theory stuff here, but even look at society, the mouthpieces are not the true powerful ones. It's what's behind the mouthpiece. Real power moves in silence. That's been my experience. You see a lot of witches, because it wasn't just on the left-hand path, on blooming TikTok, middle-aged witches, women, going at it with each other, going into bloody hex wars with each other over stupid arguments on TikTok. Things like this. The ego gets in the way, the intention, the perception gets in the way. As an individual, they may be doing little things to help, to share information and knowledge, and they might have some good intentions, but when you're showing your true colours, so to speak, and getting into little hex wars and God knows what, for stupid dramas on TikTok, which is why I don't have TikTok anymore, because things like this was so common. But you see this all the time in witchy circles. The ego takes over. Yeah, I keep talking about the left-hand path because that's what I'm on right now, but it isn't just that. This is why I've never been part of a coven, and I never will. It's not to say that there aren't good covens out there and nice people out there, but unless people have the right intention going in, you often find with covens and orders and temples and things like this, the ego takes over. This is why everyone and their dog wants to be a bloody cult leader sort of thing. Like, I've noticed it's a rarity that spiritual YouTubers can just be a spiritual YouTuber without wanting to create some type of massive cult sort of thing. Like, I got introduced to Teal Swan thanks to that Melinda. There's so much controversy around her. There's controversy around so many other figures as well, selling flumming false promises, basically. For me, look, if I ever get bigger than I am now on YouTube, cool. But I'm not doing it for that. And there are other people, like I can think of Kellyanne Maddox. She's a lovely witch YouTuber. Even Ivy the Occultist, that's another I watch, who isn't doing it to make a cult. You know, there's a few of us who are sharing our knowledge. Grumpy Old Crone, Jasmine. You know, there's many others I just can't think of right now. Morrigan's Oracle. Go check her out. She's very interesting. But yeah, we're doing it to share knowledge. We're not doing it to, you know, be the next cult leader sort of thing. But if the ego gets in the way, that's what it is. It's the ego getting in the way. And I just think without keeping that in check, it's dangerous for all of us. It's dangerous for you as the person who let your ego get away, and then you have basically bad things happen. Things don't work out the way they should. It all falls apart, whatever. You go in the Qlippoth, you freak out. People call it getting shelled or getting stuck in the Qlippoth. Yep, that's an example. Or you're in a coven and it all falls apart. You lose everything, you know. And it can be dangerous for those who blindly follow people like this, who trust them until it's too late. I always mention this Escaping Twin Flames documentary, but that's just one example. It was on Netflix. There were a YouTube channel that turned into a bit of a cult in the New Age movement. You know, people blindly followed because they wanted hope for something. They were vulnerable. And that's what gets to me, is people like this do prey on the vulnerable. You know, promise you to be a god, promise you to, you know, be all powerful, to be rich, a millionaire, to find the love of your life. All these bullshit claims. It's due to the ego. So we all need an ego. It's a part of us as much as our shadow is a part of us. We need it to protect ourselves because the ego is what we present. The ego is how we function in society. But this is egotistical. This is another level. Yeah, I just wanted to share it because I just feel it's important to hear. Basically, if you're going into any sort of path without the right intention, really, and the honest intention, because everyone's intention can be different, yeah, but you've got to be open and honest and accept all of it, you know. If you're not doing that, then it's going to fall apart. Simples. Yeah, I hope this helped. It's just my point of view, my take on things. Let me know. Have you experienced anyone like this? Have you been through this yourself? I've had to learn lessons like this. My ego, open and honest, was always wanting to, like, I guess, stick up for Hecate. I know I've mentioned it before. I get on the defense about people I love, and I love Hecate very much, and you know what, I just need to take a chill pill and step back and be like, look, let people think what they want and do what they want. It doesn't matter. You know, that's how I got into the beef with Melinda that time. I know I'm mentioning her, and I try not to mention her too much. It's just, that's the only real beef I've had on YouTube, to be quite frank. I've had stuff behind the scenes, but nothing quite like that. So yeah, that's the only reason I mention her. But I got into that because of my ego, you know, and therefore my reward, or not so reward for that, was the fallout of that. You know, that's what it is. So, yeah, if you're not going into something with the good intention for yourself, then it's going to fall apart. Be honest with yourself, all right? And remember, there's a bigger picture. And yeah, you can have things, aim towards things, but at the end of the day, the world will keep turning, whether you get in that stupid argument or not. All right? Take care. Stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.